Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and NPD by somebody that has both. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and do all the socially things scrolling past you on the screen right now. Thank you to the 2 new Patreon supporters I've had this week. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate your continued support. Thank you for that. If you want to support me on Patreon and get the Behind the Rich podcast, there's a link in the description below. Today I want to talk about empathy, because I talk about empathy a lot, and so I want to do it some more. But there's a bit of it that's only just really occurred to me, and I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to admit that it's only just occurred to me, because we talk about empathy, we talk about trying to understand what other people might be thinking and feeling in their actions and their motivations so that we don't feel as bad about their actions and their perceived motivations. And I've been trying to do this a lot myself over the last week or two. It's been really difficult to sort of try and understand how somebody feels about something. And it's not been because of my NPD preventing me from feeling something. That's not been the case. I'm feeling empathy. However, I'm not feeling the right empathy. I'm not understanding exactly what somebody's going through. And the reason why I think that's happening isn't because I'm not trying, or that I don't want to, or that I don't care, because I absolutely do care. I am trying and I want to understand. But it's because I'm trying to guess how somebody's mind has worked. I'm trying to follow a logic process. And the only frame of reference I have to work with is broken. All I can work with is what would I do? What motivates me? What would I think? How would I react in any given situation? What would I want to happen there? And then apply that to somebody else. That's what we do, right? That's empathy. But what if you're a mess? What if your brain doesn't work properly in the first place, and then you're taking and applying your own weirdness to somebody else? And that causes you to not necessarily even act badly, but just act in a way that isn't the best. Right? Maybe it causes you to be more cautious with something when it's not necessary. Maybe it causes you to hang on to something longer than it's necessary. Maybe it upsets you when you see that somebody isn't hanging on to something as long as you thought they should or would or could. Because you are, so why aren't they? And the reason is, they're fine, healthy, neurotypical people. And we have BPD and or NPD, right? So that's the answer. And we sit and try and punish ourselves for not understanding how people are thinking, what are their motivations. And the truth is, we don't know, do we? And so number one, I think we've got to go a lot easier on ourselves with this, right? I think as we're getting better, as we're learning more, as we're learning to think more, air quote, normally ourselves, we have to cut ourselves some slack for not always understanding people. And I don't think that where it's appropriate, it would be a bad idea to ask for more information. I mean, wow, that one you've got to... Depends who we're talking about and the context in which we're talking about it and the details of your life. I can't tell you whether that's appropriate, but if you can ask for more information, I see it as a good learning experience, right? It's a good way to figure out why someone feels what they feel. What do they have going on that's different to you? Because that in itself might be an interesting thing. Maybe somebody isn't holding on to something sentimentally as much as you are because they've got other things going on in their life. And maybe you start to realize if you had other things going on in your life, maybe you wouldn't be held down by these emotions that go on longer than you need them to. Just as an example. That was oddly specific, wasn't it? But I think you get my meaning. We're trying to guess how someone thinks and what they're feeling, and we don't know. We have nothing to work with here. We have no way of figuring it out unless they tell us. We might be quite empathic with the BPD, but that's not a guarantee, and I don't know how I feel about that. We love very deeply, and I think that makes us, in some ways, great, but in other ways, it could go bad, I suppose. But anyway, it's just a little something I wanted to point out to allow us to go easier on ourselves. To say it's okay when we get this wrong for now. To not get it wrong is the end goal, don't forget. I mean, I can't be clearer about that. We want to function, we want to be right, we want to be more neurotypical. That's a word, I don't need to do that. And to do that, would it hurt us if we analysed a little bit of how neurotypical people think and compared their thought processes to us and that sort of thing? It's not always possible, but then, these things take time. It's like practicing our new behaviors. They take time. It's not always easy to find a situation in which we can practice a particular behavior. And this is the same sort of thing. You've got to wait till you've found a situation and a person you can ask, which you might not be able to find right now. But I think it's worth it. I think it would be very helpful to us all to understand what that is. And hey, if you're working through an NPD lack of empathy, then maybe asking people what they're thinking and feeling and why they think and feel that, if you can, might help with that as well. To have that thought process. Let this be something that's running in your mind at the moment because you want to start trying to have that empathy there. It's great. It really is great, but sometimes it's confusing. And that's because I still don't have all the pages of the code book. But I'm adding to them, and if we ask and try and be aware of this issue, then we can add more pages. I hope that helps. You take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.